Hey guys, I'm Jackie Brubaker. I'm an author, producer, 2-time Emmy Award winner, and host of That Girl the Podcast. Each week, I bring on inspiring people and stories to help you become that girl or that guy in your life. That Girl the Podcast is based on the romantic comedy That Girl a Novel, which is now available as a podcast to listen to. Listen to each chapter about finding yourself and adulting in LA. Find That Girl a Novel everywhere you listen to your podcasts. You can also find it on Amazon to buy the Kindle or paperback of. For more, find us at thatgirlthepodcast.com and follow us on Instagram at thatgirlthepodcast and our Patreon page.
Hi, great to see you.
Oh my gosh, you look so pretty.
You always look so pretty. And I don't know if the lighting's right or what's happening. I'm in a rental in La Jolla. So
no, it looks great.
I am just sort of doing the best I can here, right?
Yeah. No, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I haven't seen you in like 7 years.
I know. I was thinking about that since Malibu, right?
Yes.
And what a chance meeting that was for us. And I was talking to my daughter, Camilla, about it, who you met.
Yes, she was just like 11 or something.
Yeah, now she's a sophomore in college. And she's flying up to meet me this weekend. And I said, remember Jackie Brubaker when we were in Malibu when we played? No, I said, remember, it was John's friend and we were playing Happy Family all night. And she's like, oh my gosh, that's so cute, Mom. It was adorable.
Oh,
anyway,
that's so cute.
She says hello. She remembered the evening fondly.
It was, okay, well, let me just start the podcast. Kelly Conlan, which has such a good ring to it, by the way. Kelly Conlan, which we'll all talk about later. Welcome to That Girl, the podcast. I don't even know where to begin with this woman. She's kind of a superhero. She's sort of incredible. She's also so smart and has done so many incredible things. I was looking at your resume and I was like, I don't even know what to call you. I don't even know where to start. So welcome. Let's talk about the day that we did meet, because it was kind of a magical day. Like, it really was kind of one of those perfectly kismet meetings in Malibu. It sounds very shishi because we are. And it was just like, I remember meeting you and thinking like, she's just so cool. She's such a cool lady.
I felt the same way. And I will talk a lot about career today, but I love what you've done with your career. I love what a Renaissance woman you are, and going from, singing and writing and producing and having a podcast, being a life coach, and of course, a mother of 2, Ella and Blue.
Yes, that's true. Thank you. They are the loves of my life. They'll probably pop in here just to say hi because they're a little codependent now. So that we've been in quarantine. We're just super codependent. Like, oh, you're not in the same room as me. Like, something's wrong.
Well, I hope they do, because as you know, I am their biggest fan.
I know. You're so cute. So also, just because I'm a fangirl, I just want to get this out of the way. Really, like, I fangirl over your life sometimes where I'm like, she's living my future goals. Like, I want to grow up and like have those experiences. So let's start with how incredible you are. I like people to actually tell their story and who they are and what they do first, because I feel like you can always do a better job than I can. So please tell our lovely audience who you are and your story, what you do.
Okay. Well, depending on how deep you want to get into it, I am Kelly Conlan, and I'm a managing director for a large consulting firm. And, we're global, and, I work all over the world. I work with global companies that have a mass tort problem. So
what is a mass tort problem? Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's just a fancy way of saying something happened that was bad.
Oh, okay.
And it might not necessarily be their fault, but, there might have been an environmental problem, or, they could have had asbestos in their materials. And that might have been okay 70 years ago, but then they found out it caused cancer. It could be asbestos, it could be opioids or herbicides or pesticides or an oil spill or, I represented the Boy Scouts of America. And, there are companies that generally work well, but they have a problem. And what I do is I figure out how to contain that problem and how to move on and have the company remain profitable. So we're taking care of the victims and, taking care of the company. And it's a very exciting job, and it's been a very circuitous route to get here. And I love it.
So, I mean, I love that you're a fixer. You basically go fix very big problems. No stress there. No stress whatsoever. So you started as a lawyer, and if I read that right, you had a private practice for a little while? I
did. I've done all kinds of things. Yes. And, something that I think has been very important for me, and what I tell my daughter and anyone I mentor is, number one, you have to do what you love, and you'll always be good at it. Always. You will always excel if you do what you love. So start there. And then what you love might change, Jackie. And it often does. So the path to success is not linear, at least not for most. Certainly not for me. So, when I was 8, I somehow, 1976, read about the United Nations and decided I was going to work for the United Nations, period. I said to my mother, I need to start taking French. I was taking Spanish. And I said, I need to, because at the United Nations, they speak French and English. So I'm taking French. And my mother said, Spanish is easier, which that's another road for a therapist. But
yes, right. I got you.
I started right then. And I started taking French, and I lived in France when I was in college. I loved to travel, but my whole goal was to get to the United Nations. And, I was, come hell or high water, I was getting there. And I was an English world literature major, so I had to take half my classes in a foreign language because it was very important to me to be fluent in French. Mm-hmm. And then I went to law school at Georgetown because they had this great international law program. I studied in Italy because I can always manage to parlay any kind of education into a global education.
Yes.
And then I got to the United Nations, and I wrote a book for them on international franchising. And it's probably still sitting in the library at the UN, if they even have a library anymore. And nobody read it. And, oh, by the way, nobody spoke French.
Oh my God.
But not one person.
You were prepared.
I did.
Oh my God.
I speak more French ordering dinner. But, I just got there, and I realized in a very depressing way that there was no enforcement mechanism in international law, and it really didn't have any teeth. And I was going to be beating my head against the wall. And I thought, well, what else do I like about the law? Because I'm going to do something else. Like, this is not going to be, it's not going to be fruitful for me. And I'm not going to feel like I've helped anyone. I wanted to go to the UN and, save the little guy and help the developing country, my book was to help the guy who wants to go into business with the Holiday Inn, but he's the local guy in India, not the World Bank, not the IMF. It was supposed to be, where the UN was born. And it didn't really play out like that. And so I said, okay, what else do I love? I love going to court.
Yeah.
So I became a prosecutor, which is, the greatest job of all time. And it's something where you're on the side of justice all the time. And you're always advocating for the victim every day. And it was I always tell my husband, it's the only job I was ever good at. And he doesn't agree, but
I don't agree.
I loved it. It was great. And it has a time.
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting too is that, you know, a lot of people are younger and get into college and they're like, I don't know what I want to do. But you knew from a really young age, just even the essence of what you wanted to do, but you had a plan and you actually executed it, made it happen. And then we're like, and now what? Which is sort of, I think, the big dream that everybody has, like, oh, if I can just do it the perfect way and like do all the right steps, like it will work out for me. And that's not always necessarily true. And here you are, like, you're in the UN, you speak tons of French, you've written a book for them, and you're just like, I don't think so. I don't think this is for me. So then you become a prosecutor, which you love. And I think it's perfect too, because you obviously, are you an Aquarius?
I am an Aries.
Oh, interesting. Aquarians are all about saving the world. That's why I ask. Maybe you have Aquarian in you.
But, just tell you, because I think it's such a pointed and perfect question. And in my class in the prosecutor's office, literally 90% of the people in my class were either Aries or Leos. Oh. And courtroom drama and being a trial lawyer is all about the action, the acting, reading the room, and the big personalities. Mm-hmm. So it was a joke. We'd have sort of a cake on someone's birthday when you came out of court. And as soon as you hit the end of March, you know, it was like every day you came back, I'm like, I can't eat this anymore. Just enough with the birthday cakes.
Right. Like, we're done. I just want to stop you there too, because Ella is here and she came to say hi. Hold on.
Let's see her. Hello, Ella.
She's with her little blanket.
Hi.
Hold on. Sorry about that. Ella, there she is.
Look at you. You're so big.
She's so sweet. Oh. She's like, who is this blonde woman looking at me? Okay. Anyway, I found that my bedroom has the nicest lighting, so this is where I've been doing a lot of my podcasts.
It does. It's the wall. It looks like it's kind of a peachy, which
it is.
Works.
It's just a very, you know, kind of escape sort of vacation-y look in here, which I prefer. Okay, so no more birthday cake, clearly. Too many birthdays, too many Aries and Leos, which makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
I still think that you have Aquarian in your chart. I'm going to get your birthday after this, and we're going to do it. Anyway.
I might have an Aquarius moon. I'm just saying.
I have an Aquarius moon, actually. Anyway, all my friends are Aquarians. That's why I ask. Okay, so get into prosecuting. You love fighting for the little guy. You want to help the little guy make it big. Go more into what was one of your favorite cases that you won?
You know, the great thing about being in criminal court is they don't bother themselves with things like discovery or, you know, you have no idea what's coming, who's going to get on the stand. It's very think on your feet. You either love it or you don't. Mm-hmm. And when I left the office, I was prosecuting adults that committed sex crimes on juveniles.
Ooh.
So very rewarding, but very rough and not. It was something you couldn't leave at the office. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it was really rewarding. And the people that I worked with, the victim witness coordinators who worked with the children, and I mean, they're incredible. And I give them so much credit and respect for what they do. And, you know, I just got to a point where I could not do that anymore.
Right.
And also I wanted to be a mom. And, you know, that just, again, with your priorities changing, one of the things I really believe in is that you need to own your priorities. Mm-hmm. And my priority became having a baby. And yes, you can do it all. You know, I think I'm living proof that you can, but you have to make choices and you have to own your priorities along the way. And you can't go to court all day and come home and prep 72 cases at night when you have a baby. I mean, it's not a part of your career. And so, you know, when I left, I went to a big firm. I got the big firm experience. Then when I had my baby, I had a little firm, literally threw out a shingle after, I had been in big law and was in Indiana, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I grew up in LA and I was suddenly living an hour and 15 minutes from a Target.
Oh my God.
Not really.
And with weather too, like real weather.
Cold. It started snowing in October. I'm like, I don't even understand this. But it was just this perfect time in my life to do that. And I, I wouldn't trade it. But, a couple years later, my daughter was 3 and I got a phone call from one of our senators. And I had worked for one when I was at Georgetown. And then I worked a lot sort of post the prosecutor's office with Rick Santorum. And he called me and said, "Hey, Kelly, would you like to be the United States trustee?" And I said, "Well, Senator, I don't know what that is."
Same. What is that?
I said, "Thank you so much for thinking of me. Let me Google it and I will get back to you." Literally like that. And he said, Kelly, he said, "I don't really know what it is either. I know it has something to do with being a prosecutor, but in bankruptcy court." And he said, I just thought, that sounds like Kelly. And I said, "Well, thank you so much. Let me look into it." And, I called some of my former partners and I said, it's really basically you're the U.S. attorney of bankruptcy court. So it's your job to kind of root out fraud and abuse. And I said, this is a perfect job for me. And so we packed up and we moved back to Philadelphia. And, I ran this division of the Justice Department, which was Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. And in Delaware, this is the corporation state, like the mega Chapter 11 corporations file there. And, again, it was just an opportunity. People talk about luck. And, was I lucky that I was born with a brain? Absolutely. And I'm so grateful. But I think about success in career more opportunity spotting and executing on those opportunities.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that.
So, my career has been so rewarding. I always say that it feeds my ADHD because I've moved all over. And after, being a regulator, I spent so much time working with these huge companies that it just seemed natural to go to the business side. And, I started working on the business side and I built a couple, multi-million-dollar practices in business. And, it continued to just be exciting and continues to be exciting and worthwhile for me.
That's amazing. So let's talk about that. Explain more of that.
You and I talked a little bit about, challenges and, I think when you're sort of spotting your opportunities, you're forging your own path, however you want to craft it. You also, again, we talked about this, you need to own your priorities. Mm-hmm. And when I was in the trustee's office, my daughter was in kindergarten and she made me this book for Christmas. And, they would write, "My mother, is great. She does X, and then they'd color a picture. And it was, "My mother's a great cook. She makes great." And my daughter wrote, "Ice cream." And she's, I have never made ice cream in my life. So I thought, and as I flipped to the end, I said, "What's this about the ice cream?" And she said, "Well, you never cook." Not true. But I got to the end and she said, "My mother loves me so much. She wrote, gets me the best nannies." And she drew a picture of herself holding hands with the nanny. Of course, I sobbed. And I said, she was now 7. I had just missed half of her life in the second Bush administration. And I said, I need to change this because my priorities, that's not my priority. And my priorities need to change. And so I sat down with the director of the program and I said, I've got to go. And, I will sit through a transition, but he said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to drive my daughter to swim team in the morning and sit there while she practices. Right. And, we'll see what she does from there. And I don't know if you know a guy named Keith Ferrazzi. He wrote a great book called Never Eat Alone. And I read it and was totally inspired, and I have become friends with him since. But basically, the book was about figuring out what you really want and then laying out just who you know across the board. And what you want, you may not, maybe you're good at it, maybe you're not. But what is it that you really want and how are you going to get there? And, I tell all the women that I mentor, and men, really make your own business plan, make your own life plan, and put your real priority at the top. I don't want to hear that you want to be a managing director at the firm if, really you just want to work from home. Yeah. And for me, I wanted to work from home. I said, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to work from home. I want to be with my daughter. I want to pick her up from school because for some reason that's really important to her. And I've obviously never been able to do that. I was, in 3 states and DC. And so I said, I need to make a certain amount of money. I like to go to New York. It's really the center of restructuring. So these are the things that I need to do. And so I made it happen. And my suggestion to everyone is you can do that too. You don't need to be on the partnership track. You need to figure out and be honest with yourself about what you really want to do. And then you chart out how you're going to do it. And I'll tell you that the next year at the Mother's Day Chapel, I went in and I sat down in the little school from pre-K through 5, and the headmistress came in and she said, "Oh, I know what Lily's going to say today. Hope you brought Kleenex." And then her teacher sort of came by and said, "Oh, I know what Lily's going to say today. I hope you brought Kleenex." And, the kids all sort of came out on stage and they said, "I love my mom because, she makes great pancakes. And, I love my mom because we're getting a pool." And my daughter stood up with her little, paper mache flower, and she said, "My mother is special because she's quitting her job to spend more time with me."
Oh my God. And then all the moms.
Right.
Everybody lost it. Oh my God. Did you just lose it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm losing it now. So my point is, own your priorities. Be honest about it. And then, and then chart your path from there. And you know what? If you can be on the partnership track and you can take yourself off. My advice to everyone is to just continue to be true to yourself and what's really important to you. And you will succeed. I mean, it just comes to you. And, I started this practice. I did it for 10 years. And then I really started getting onto the company side and, dealing with these bigger problems. And that's exciting to me. Fixing problems is exciting to me. And you know what? My daughter's in college now. She doesn't even miss me. And, I was able to sort of transition back to what I needed to do. She said at home, "Mom, you work more now that you're at home than when you worked." But, so then that's what they see. They see hard work. They see dedication and priorities and how you, like a modern woman, balances a modern life, right?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. You've just said so many nuggets of wisdom for everyone listening. I don't have kids, but I'd really like to. And it's funny because I'm not married. I'm not in a relationship right now, but I've actually very much considered having a baby on my own in the next couple of years. And it's a very interesting thought because A, you're doing it by yourself. But B, it's just, there's so many, for me, I just immediately think, oh, my career, I'm so career centered, and how will I balance this? How will I do this? But I love that you were like in the thick of your career and we're just like, I need a child. I want this child more than this, just more than it. And it is true. Your heart wants what your heart wants. And I love that you were brave enough and true to yourself enough to just say, this is happening. I'm restructuring. I think too, like we're all kind of like rewriting the script as women now in leadership positions. And, it is hard to have it all. Like you can have it all, but it doesn't look perfect and it isn't pretty and it's hard, it's really hard to juggle all of that. And I love that you listen to your heart. And I think it's important to know that you don't have to, like you said, like stay on that one path that, maybe you've always wanted. And then maybe your priorities shift and like the priority shifts into something that you've never done before, which is developed more of that personal life too. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I mean, in all of this, I also got divorced.
Oh,
I was raising my daughter by myself. And then I got remarried to the love of my life. And actually on my 50th birthday in Paris. So, and here we are, we had known each other for years through the industry. And, we ended up, we share so many of the same work situations. And so, we really understand each other and speak this language where, I've never had that experience. So it's your best friend, it's your partner, literally. And, it's been amazing.
I love watching you two. He's so sweet. James Conlan. And when you two started, I guess, dating, I mean, I think I was just watching it on Instagram or Facebook or something, but let me just tell you, your wedding was super amazing because, I think this is the wedding or the picture. You wore like a green dress, right? Like a vintage dress. Is that the picture I'm thinking of?
Yes.
Okay. I remember this because I was like, that's what I want to do. She wore this amazing vintage green dress.
I will save the dress for you.
Thank you. And I think you wore a tiara. And he was like, this woman is just killing her wedding day. And it was in Paris and it was so Parisian and small and intimate. I was like, oh my gosh, why ever would anyone want to do like the big, circus wedding when you could do this? I mean, seriously, since then I was like, that's what I'm doing.
Well, I have the blueprint for you.
Thank you, God.
Well, what was amazing was, it was my 50th birthday, actually. And I had been planning this birthday party, like, since I was 30. Again, it was like going to the United Nations. Like, I was like, I'm going to have this 50th birthday party in Paris. I'm a Francophile. My husband and I got engaged in Paris. And I said, I'm having this birthday party in Paris. So it was already planned, this whole party. And my husband and I, when we got engaged, it was July of 2017. And we were sort of strolling down the Seine as one would. Nice. And there was one of these pop-up rosé bars. And literally people are sitting on
oh my God.
Pop-up rosé bars now.
I love it.
France is getting with the times.
They're very happy.
And so they have these kind of pallets, those, pallets that you ship things in, the wooden pallets, and they had kind of cushions on them. And there was this amazing bossa nova guy, just from Portugal, playing his guitar, singing. I'm like, I'm getting his number. He's playing at my birthday party. And so I email him and I said, hey, would you happen to be in Paris on March 23rd? Because I want you to play at my birthday. I've like chartered this yacht. It's going to be perfect. He's like, well, I'm in Portugal, but sure, I'll come to Paris. And again, I mean, it was so perfect. And then as things got closer, you know, people were coming from all over the world. And we thought, you know, we're getting married. And wouldn't it be fun if we just surprised everyone? Nobody would worry about who's their date or what they're wearing or giving us a present. Like, we don't want any of that. And we just wanted our loved ones to be there.
Right.
And so 3 days before my birthday party, I email my bossa nova singer and I said, by the way, could you learn this song? Because I think we're going to get married and that's going to be our wedding song. He said, all right. And then I emailed the florist. I said, could you just make just a very low key white bouquet and just keep it in a bag in the coat closet? Because we might get married. And the caterer is saying, when exactly are you planning on doing this? And I said, well, you know, after cocktails, before dinner, we'll just kind of squeeze it in. Right.
After cocktails, before dinner. That's amazing. That should be on an invitation right there.
We didn't tell anyone. And we didn't tell, and my uncle, who was a justice in the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania, and my aunt were obviously coming to the wedding. So we rang their doorbell and they thought it was the driver. And we went in and we said, could you just marry us? Because to be technically married, you need to have it done on Pennsylvania soil for jurisdictional reasons.
Right.
And we said, we're just going to do this wedding on the boat, but you know, we want to make sure it's actually legal.
Yeah.
So my aunt and uncle, we got married. We all went to the airport, like met our friends, didn't say anything, got on the plane, and then we got married. It was fabulous.
That's the best wedding. That is, seriously, I just took so many notes.
It was fun and it was low key, you know, and everyone could enjoy themselves. You know how weddings sometimes, first of all, nobody cares when you're 50. And second, it seems ridiculous a little bit. And then they take on this cult of personality and people start getting worried about stuff. And it's
so not worth it. I know. Honestly, I'm so with you. I think that is exactly how you should get married. So let's talk about having this amazing relationship and then work, and just, he's also, you know, your partner and works with you. And like, how is that? How do you balance all of that? How does that work?
Well, it just makes it more fun because, you know, people will say, oh, you guys are traveling all the time, or my personal not favorite, do you work? And
I mean, I did wonder that once. It's like, why is she gone all the time?
I'm here to assure you that we are working all the time. And because of the global nature of what we do, you know, we travel, pre-COVID, we traveled a lot.
Right.
And, you know, we just try to make it fun. It's obviously when we're working on similar matters or the same matters, it's great because we get each other, and he's from the legal side, and, you know, I'm obviously from the financial perspective. Mm-hmm. But, you know, then we can also sort of take time to go out to dinner, or, you know, take the weekend to go to the south of Spain.
I love it. Dinner or Spain, you know, just either one.
That's really nice. You know, and one thing that I learned when I lived in France when I was, you know, 19 and 20 was how to relax, how to take that sort of bite out of it. And, you know, you might be working, when I first moved to New York, I was working for Paul Weiss, which is this huge law firm. And, you know, I worked 2,600 hours a year, and I learned I would rather take an hour out and work until 3 in the morning than work till 2 and go faster, just to get that break in the middle of the day and just walk into Central Park and sit down Like, I think that the Europeans do that really beautifully.
Yeah.
And I incorporated that because no matter how busy you are, you know, everything will fall away. Like, you'll always prioritize the work first. Like, I don't know about you. I have to work out in the morning or it's never going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
I go down to my computer with my cup of coffee and I'm still sitting there in my workout clothes, which have not been sweated in, at 5:00. So I just have to do it first or it won't happen.
That's a huge problem of mine and so many of other people, especially women. We are just on go mode when we're workaholics. I mean, let's just be honest. Like, you do sit down, and if I sit down in front of my computer in the morning, I just start working. And I've always been like this, and I completely burn myself out. So I'm trying very hard to do more human things. Like, I'll go for really long walks and be in nature. And, I meditate almost every day. So that's good. But yeah, I mean, what do you suggest with having lived in Paris and France and learning more how to relax, to tell people how to sort of chop up their day?
I also am trying to meditate more and really be mindful of what I'm putting in my body and, to be grateful for it. And so sitting down, honoring your meals, I think is important. I always walk. I just always. And even if someone calls me up and I know it's going to be a while, I pop in my earbuds and I have like tennis shoes by the door and I'm like, all right, I'm going. And when I was in New York, the kind of reporters that I was friends with that I would talk to, I'm like, you know what? I'll walk with you. Like, I drink enough coffee. Nobody needs any more coffee. Like, I don't need to go out to lunch. Like, let's walk.
Right.
So I've gotten to know my neighborhood like never before during COVID. And, sometimes my husband comes, sometimes not, but, I always try to like jam a phone call in there, and maybe a healthier thing to do would to be not bring your phone and listen to the birds.
Oh my God.
I know it's a stretch, but I have goals, Jackie. Goals.
I love it. I'll listen to really great inspirational podcasts. That's what I do when I'm on my walks. I listen to really good podcasts that are going to like fill me with good information or, just all of that. So,
you know what I did recently? I have two things. I was at Cannon Ranch in Tucson, which is amazing. And I did a hypnosis journey or something, something very crunchy, but it wasn't, she didn't like say you were getting sleepy,
Right.
And now you're a rabbit. It was more this, like, you're in the most comfortable chair I've ever sat in my entire life. Like, please send me the brand so I can buy this at home.
Yeah.
And the woman, I guess she's like a sociologist, or she had this beautiful melodic voice, and it was more like a guided meditation where you're kind of focusing on you.
Yeah.
It was, it was amazing. And she gave me all kinds of like meditation type background things to play in the background. Really good. That was very relaxing. I like to do a little acupuncture too.
Ooh.
Like, as long as you don't open your eyes, like, that's the deal. Like, I can't, like, I know the needles are going in, just don't open your eyes. I think that's been really relaxing. And I sit on the board of the Forum of Executive Women, which is, I chair their engagement committee. And, one of the things I do is really look at our content, and, the content that we're providing has been really important during COVID. And I was doing everything, sort of to get a handle on what our membership was looking for and what they weren't getting, what they are getting. And I started taking this class called Mindfully Led from Within. And fabulous woman. It's all Qigong. which I love. Had never done it before. And it's a half an hour. And the thing about this woman, Erin Jewell, she is used to working with high-level executives. So when she says a half an hour, she means it.
Oh,
it's nice. A half an hour, and it's in the middle of the day. It's from 12 to 12:30, and there may be a meditation for the beginning of the week that you can listen to. You may have a mantra, but it's a half an hour. And she understands what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. And, I just closed the door to my office, and I do it in my office. And, you sort of say to yourself, if I cannot block out 1/2 hour a week, there is a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's very, I did a lot of that at Canyon Ranch also. It's very just spiritual and physical and freeing.
I love it. So if you could say one really big piece of advice for female entrepreneurs, female business owners, women in leadership, what would be your most important piece of advice for them?
Definitely. I try not to use platitudes, but forging your own path, doing what you love, owning your priorities, it's following your heart, I guess, encapsulated, but it will never steer you wrong. It won't. And, you'll have the memories to look back on, and, you'll have your work that will speak for itself. Mm-hmm. But I also think that, the priorities, as we've discussed, are changing, and they may change back. So you're not walking away from your career because you want to have a baby. Mm-hmm. And you're just enhancing your life.
Right.
And then you can go back to it. And you know what? You may find something that you love more. And you may find something different. So I think it's normal to be afraid of change. Mm-hmm. I embrace change, but I think, people are more open to it now. I think that for women, our paths have really changed, and we're really able to branch out and forge our own paths. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But really having the confidence to do that, I think fear holds people back probably more than anything. And, fear of failure, it's all in vogue now. I love Brene Brown. Brown, right? All she talks about is failure, and how the TED conference should be called the failure conference, because, everybody wants to talk about how they failed and what they learned from it. But it is true. I mean, right. You don't have to fail all the time, but, you just be open, keep your eyes open to, what the signs are telling you, because it's really about which opportunity you jump on.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I'm actually just reading The Alchemist, which is, have you ever read that? Did you read that a long time ago ever?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So one of my best friends was referencing it, and she's like, oh, I read it every once in a while. And I'm like, oh, I should reread it. And one of the things it talks about just in the very beginning is to pay attention to the omens, which is the same thing. Just pay attention to the signs. Just pay attention to what your gut is saying, what your life is telling you, and just say, okay, let me go investigate. Let's just find out and see how this feels. And the thing that I always really, really think is true is that when you're on the right path, things do come easily to you. You don't have to fight that hard. And I don't want to say work hard, because you do have to work hard, but you don't have to fight so hard. And you're not always clawing and scratching to get to the other side. It's like there are steps for you that just appear out of nowhere, because it's your life saying yes, this is the direction. Please come here, this way, please. And I think right now, so many people are in this beautiful position with all these amazing opportunities, like you said, to really just take those steps and take a risk, or a calculated risk, to go in the direction that they've always wanted to go into, and to listen to their heart, like you're saying. And I mean, I don't know. I always think like, why not try? Like, it doesn't have to mean like you stop everything and then you just,
No.
start your life all over again. It's really just a matter of just start a little bit, just try a little bit and see how it feels and then keep going little, like inch by inch. Like no one would say, if you met someone that you liked and were like, oh, he's cool, to like marry them the next day. Like no one would say that. So why would you do that with your professional career or your life in any way? You would get to know that person. You would get to know this thing you're interested in.
Absolutely. And, I say, listen to your heart, but be strategic.
Yes.
Like think it through, do what you love. Oh my God, Jackie, when I hear you sing, it literally sends chills. You have the most beautiful voice, but you also have so many other talents. So you also sort of opportunities are going to keep presenting themselves to you, and you're going to have to try to figure out which one is your priority right now. And they might change, and it might be jazz, and it might be blues, and it might be Disney. And,
I know.
There's an aphorism, her plenty makes her poor, but I choose to think of it as optimizing your talents.
Thank you for saying that, because I absolutely get hung up on it. I'm like, oh my God. Well, I had this very interesting moment back in November, a couple of days after my birthday. I was very depressed, and I kind of had one of those like coming to Jesus moments where I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And I really do remember not hearing, but like in my head hearing like, what do you actually want to do? Like, what do you really want to do? And I was like, I really, really want to just be very spiritual and therapeutic, and I want to sing, and that's it. That's really all I want to do. And now, I love coaching so much, and it's been such a natural thing I've always done through my life for other people. I just never knew there was like a job. So like, that's been a really wonderful kind of like, ooh. But with singing, it's like, that's been a little on the back burner recently, and I've been thinking about it more. I'm like, oh, I haven't recorded a song recently. And even though it's just for fun right now, like, it's just, what you said is very true for me. It's like, you never know what's going to kind of come around the bend, which for someone who actually loves stability is really hard for me, but I don't deny it when it comes. I'm not like, no, that's scary. Like, I'll just be like, okay, this is scary. Let's do it anyway. Let's take the risk, or like have the courage to just try it. But thank you for saying that, because sometimes it's like, oh my God, what am I, like, I know what I'm doing. I'm very thoughtful, but I'm also like, opportunities everywhere, which is a nice thing to, be problemed with. But
well, also, I think, it's important to surround yourself with people who support you. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes those people change and it's hard to let go, but you have to. And so you want to think about, who you surround yourself with.
Right. Absolutely.
And how they support you and how they can help you. Like, I always have a team of advisors, and just people that I can bounce things off and say, hey, in the women's, world, we all want to talk about mentoring younger women and all of our, female mentors. And, at 52, most of my mentors were men.
Right.
I was the only female managing director in restructuring at my old firm and in North America. Mm-hmm. So, the mentors come in all shapes and sizes, and they come people who are older and people who are younger. I mean, I've learned more lessons from my daughter, starting at like the age of 6 than I can count. So, you want to, when you're looking for the signs, also look for your mentors. Look at the people whose advice really hits home to you and you think they get me.
Yeah. Kelly, would you like to be my mentor?
I would love to.
Okay, good. Thank God.
Hopefully I already am.
You really are. Like, you've been my mentor quietly for years. You're
my inspiration.
Oh my gosh. You're so sweet. I've always, like, seriously, I'm like, she thinks I'm nuts because I like all of her pictures. I'm so happy that we met and that we've stayed in touch this whole time. Thank you so much for coming on. And if you want to come back and talk about something that just lights you up, please let me know and I'll have you back. I would love to have you back.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I loved seeing you and talking, and anytime. I would love it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. Remember, sharing is caring. Make sure to rate the podcast and leave a review. We really rely on this to help get the podcast out there. Also, make sure to watch the video version on YouTube and follow us on Instagram at That Girl the Podcast.